And welcome into the Tuesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We got a lot going on the program today. Gentry Estes from the Tennessean will be with us at 7 o'clock. We'll get into the Titans, probably a little college football with him. Bruce Feldman from The Athletic going up at 8:30 on the program here today as well. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm well rested. I kind of feel bad about being well rested because I missed, the 18-inning World Series classic that we're watching the highlights of right now, and I continue to see people pitching to Shohei Ohtani.
It's a bold strategy,
which is something you probably should never do. But what? Freddie Freeman in the 18th, huh?
Yep.
Holy cow!
Freddie Freeman in the 18th.
Do Braves fans miss him at all? Missing Freddie Freeman?
Full disclosure, I did not stay up to all 18 innings to watch that game last night.
Yeah.
Did not do it.
Ian, did any of us?
I was up the whole time.
Seriously?
No.
Yeah.
Say,
I didn't miss a
never went
pitch.
to sleep.
Yeah,
Iron
I've been
Man.
up. I've pulled an all-nighter.
Been up the whole time.
That's about what it would take.
No, I watched the Chiefs win and secure my fantasy win over Kuharski in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy League.
Have some of that,
Nice.
Kuharski.
Well done.
Thanks to Rasheed Rice and Chiefs defense. And went to sleep about 10 o'clock, a little bit after 10. So yeah, I missed it.
When Kuharski loses, we all win.
That's a good point. Mike McCoy congratulates you on your victory, Ian Safar.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that.
The
Yes.
Paul Kuharski.
Just doing the good for Nashville here.
Oh, boy, do we have a lot of things going on. So Dodgers 2-1 lead in the series. We'll see if the Jays can respond. But basically 2 games for the price of 1 last night if you were in the building. So,
Yeah.
18 innings.
Double game. Yeah. My goodness. There have been some epic games in this baseball postseason.
Yeah.
One that I'm trying to forget still.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. The Titans making some moves yesterday. Roger McCreary traded from the Titans to the LA Rams. So, Joe, we're closing in on NFL trading deadline day. We're a week away from it. November the 4th is the NFL trading deadline, and the Titans have continued to ship things out here. Roger McCreary to the LA Rams. Titans will receive a 2026 conditional 5th-round pick, and the Rams receiving a 2026 conditional 6th-round pick along with Roger McCreary there. So you're talking about a 2nd-round pick in 2022. The Titans have already traded away Jarvis Brownlee this year, and now they have traded away Roger McCreary, who we've been talking about for a couple of weeks of, are they going to sign him? Are they not going to? If you don't, are you going to find 3 starting corners, presumably, in the offseason? What's that's going to look like? So now we know. The answer is no. The Titans are not going to sign Roger McCreary. He is gone. Your thoughts on the trade with the LA Rams yesterday?
Well, I just think in tandem with Brownlee, I don't like it. I feel like you've got to, in each case, you have to look at it individually. So with McCreary, is he a guy you absolutely needed to extend and you feel great about him for the next few years? I mean, I would have. I don't know that they've traded away a great player, but they've traded away a solid player, certainly a good guy in the locker room. And I understand that, yeah, you could, in theory, get someone better in free agency. You could, but you also might get someone worse in free agency. And the bottom line is you have so much to do already. Don't you want some spots to just be solidified and have some carryover and some continuity? Like right now, to me, I just think the Titans would be better off moving forward with Brownlee and McCreary. And then, you got to work on, you got to get more depth. You got to get a number 1 corner in that situation. But you got 2 guys who can play. And, again, McCreary, we'll see what his next deal is, but it's not breaking the bank, right? I mean, he's a starter. He's been relatively cheap for you to hear. There's the money aspect of it, but I mean, if you're worrying about that, you got plenty of money. You got plenty of money. I mean, you have plenty of space. I don't like it. And again, I do think, especially since Brownlee was up, whatever attitude, whatever it was that he bothered the coaches with, there's nothing of that with McCreary. My God, the guy put out this really nice message to everybody. Friend of the show, sang a nice song for us on the show.
He did.
He did call Amy Adams Strunk, the Struck family,
which is objectively hilarious.
They should be struck from the record of his ownership of the Titans. But no, I just that's the opposite situation. I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, look, I don't think Roger McCreary is a great player. I would probably describe him as fine. He's a fine starting corner in the league. But right now, I'd probably take that if I'm the Titans, considering how much you've got to do with the rest of the roster. The money part of it, I'm looking at over the cap right now, and their cap space for 2026. It's $112 million. It's the most in the league. They've got the most cap space available to them in the league. So money is not really an issue at the moment. And I just look at it as you got so much to do with this team, right? You've got to just start naming the positions. We could be here all morning talking about the work that they've got to do on this roster right now. Would it not benefit you to have maybe one less thing to do, one less spot to fill if you're the Titans? Because, maybe you fill that need in free agency. Or maybe you end up having to draft somebody, right? Right now, they've got Brownlee gone, McCreary gone now. I would assume they're going to try to move on from L'Jarius Sneed. I don't know why in the world you'd bring him back.
No, he won't be here next year.
So those are your 3 starting corners heading into the year. And look, the Titans defense sucks. So it's not like you're giving up great players there. I understand that. But I think you have to look at it on an individual by individual basis. And I just thought you could have probably gotten McCreary extended for not that much money. Now, who knows? Maybe behind the scenes he's asking for a crazy amount of money. And I guess if that's the case, then you have to react to that information accordingly if you're the Titans.
Yeah, it's like with Derrick Henry. There was a lot of anger at the Titans, but it's did Derrick Henry really want to be back here? You have to look at it from the player side. And on the player side, yeah, maybe he has unrealistic demands, or maybe he just doesn't want to be here. There's that.
There's
too.
Also that.
As kind as he was in his message, misspelling Amy Adams Strunk's last name, doesn't mean that he enjoys this. There's a lot more locker rooms around this league where you can be having a lot more fun than this one now. So, so that's worth keeping in mind. To me also, if you get a fourth, if it's like a fourth, fifth swap, to me, that's just better than obviously it's better. I don't know. That 1 round difference to me would have been significant in my mind. A fifth, sixth swap with a team that, by the way, is going to be picking low. Now then again, but I think the Titans, theirs that they got back.
They got back.
Okay.
Yeah. They're original from the Leonard Jones trade.
Yeah. Okay. So
that doesn't matter. Good looking 5th round pick.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. But, it's the return, the 4th would have been the ceiling, but I guess I'd feel better if that was
It's also interesting to me that they've given up 2 starting, younger starting corners this year, and they've gotten what I would describe as minimal draft compensation in return for it, right? That's the other thing. It's okay. Well, you can replace those guys through the draft, but you're talking about, 5th and 6th round picks. So it's, are you going to find a Jarvis Brownlee where they found Jarvis Brownlee this last time? Maybe.
Right.
You might. You also might find somebody who can't play.
Yeah. You had him.
NFL.
You had that guy.
So that's the other thing. You just on the surface of it, trading Roger McCreary. Okay. I don't really care because it's not like Roger McCreary's some great player, but I think it just underscores how much work there's left to be done with this roster. And I think it has you asking the question, how long is this going to take? How long of a quote unquote rebuild, build, whatever word you want to use, are they in for here in a league where you should be able to improve if you make competent decisions relatively quickly?
Right. Like you could go back to last year, like before Snead got hurt, and look at the future and see like, wow, this Brownlee kid can actually play a little bit, and be like, that might be something you can set aside, for a while and work on the other stuff, work on both lines and all the other things they have to do, skill positions. And now it's like, yep, all three going to have to be replaced next year.
Yeah.
On top of all the other things.
Well, and it also means like in the short term this year, I mean, you're already a bad defense and you can't defend the pass and you can't defend the run, which, as we know from our good friend Jeremy Pruitt, bad combination when you can't do those things. And now you take McCreary away, and it just gets back into the conversation we had yesterday of like, are they winning a single other game this year? Like, are they going to be able to stop anyone? I was looking at the standings earlier just to see from a point differential standpoint where they're at. And they're the worst in the league. Titans are minus 120 in point differential. Worse in the NFL.
Yeah, it doesn't help. I mean, McCreary's been up and down. He's missed some plays this year and all that stuff. He's made some plays too. They're certainly not getting better on defense right now. This bad defense is getting worse. So I'm sure Denard Wilson's excited today about the situation.
Sure he is. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. The Titans have traded Roger McCreary. We'll take your thoughts on that. What in the world is the plan here with the roster, and how much rebuilding can they do in one off season? We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Titans have traded Roger McCreary. How much rebuilding / tinkering / building of the roster can the Titans actually do in one offseason? I think that's the question now as you look ahead to the rest of this year. I mean, as we mentioned yesterday, Joe, still a lot of football left to be played. We're not even in November yet in the NFL season. A lot of football left to be played. So in the short term, that's what you're worrying about right now if you're the Titans. But, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to look at this roster right now and realize there's a whole lot of holes. Running back, I think they're going to have to find somebody else there. We'll see. We know at wide receiver what happens there. You know, who knows at tight end? Like, are they going to re-sign Chig at this point? Because if not, you're going to have to go find another tight end in addition to Gunnar Helm. That's just on offense. You know, there's a lot to look at here on the Tennessee Titans, as we know. So, can you do it in one offseason? Like, how long is the long-term vision here for the Titans when it comes to Brinker and Borgonzi and this plan that they've put together here? Like, one texter says, do you think that these guys are arrogant enough to think that they can draft better players with 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks than the guys that they're trading away? That's the only explanation I can come up with for what they're doing right now.
Well, no, remember one thing on that is that if you do stockpile picks, then you can combine 3 of those picks to move up some, right? I mean, I don't, again, to me, this is right or wrong. This move is not, we can easily just replace him with a 5th rounder. It's stockpiling picks overall and then trying to be able to use those. Now, there's only so much that like a bunch of 6 and whatever can do.
You're not moving up very far.
But you see it. I mean, like they've done it recently where they put like I think they got a 4th, right? They got into the 4th with multiple of those. I mean, you can do some of that. So I don't think it's just like a 1-for-1 vision there, right? It's that they didn't want to, or whatever. They didn't want to, he didn't want to, whatever. No, it's not going to happen that they're going to give McCreary a second deal. However, that is determined, right? That's part of the equation. And the other part of the equation is get what you can get for them. And then, you can try to use those picks in different ways, I would think. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know if these guys are arrogant. I guess I would ask, I thought that the rest of that was going to be, are they arrogant enough to think that they have 3 years to figure this out? Now, if that's the case.
Well, that's the other question.
Then they're sorely mistaken, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, based on recent history, that would be a mighty big stretch to think you've got that amount of time in this organization. The trade deadline is a week from today, okay? So they've got a week to make more moves. Looking at their roster, they're not going to be able to make a ton of moves that would bring back significant draft capital at this point. The one that they could make would be Simmons, and he's hurt right now, so we'll see what his status looks like this week. But that's when you get into the big debate that a lot of Titans fans are having right now, which is, well, he's been by far your best player. He's playing, when he's been healthy this year, at least arguably the best football of his entire career. Is that what he's going to be as they move forward here? Because if so, that's a pretty darn good football player that you probably don't want to get rid of. However, if you're trying to retool and rebuild this roster, he's also kind of like the one guy you've got right now that could get you significant return back if you're the Titans. So how do you balance that? How do you view that? I mean, Joe, I guess if he's hurt, it's not going to matter by the time the trade deadline comes around. So we'll see what happens on that front.
Yeah. I think, well, look, they've put it out very strongly with NFL media that they're not trading him. Now, if you look at it from their perspective, selfishly, this makes sense because, and that goes along with them understanding that they don't have forever, right? Like how are you going to be competitive in time enough to keep your job if you don't have, but then as I say that, I also would say you got 2 corners here who can play, who then you can work on other things. But those ships have sailed. The Simmons thing is, I mean, I still, like I've said it, like a 1st round pick especially like, well, depending on, the team and all that stuff. But a first-round pick, man, it'd be hard to pass up. You could do, if you had a first-round pick in tandem with the number one overall pick, like the haul that you could then turn that into could be like an offseason of, if you make good choices, a pretty insane roster turnover, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like, if you feel like, okay, he's figured it out, he's gotten past the injuries, he realizes that at this weight, he can be so much more effective. This is what he's going to be for the next 2-3 years. Again, in the NFL, this idea of 4 and 5 years to do something, that's only if you're utterly incompetent. So, like in 2027, when the Titans open the stadium, could they be a competitive football team? Yes. Now, I'm not saying they will be. They have to be good. They have to have 2 great off seasons. Are 2 great off seasons possible? Yes, they are possible. If that's the case, you'd probably be happy that you have 98. But again, the possibility of a huge offseason coming right up could be sweetened by moving him.
Well, that's the thing, because I'm looking at how many holes they've got on their roster right now, and it's like, okay, well, how do you get there? Like, how do you have that offseason when you've got, like, it's one thing to have like 3 or 4 needs. I mean, they've got like 10 needs. Like they've got so many needs with their roster right now that it's hard to think about them getting all of it done in one offseason. So if you're not trading Simmons, the answer is going to be, well, just get the number 1 pick and then trade out of it. Well, you could do that. You got to have a quarterback there that somebody really wants and that will trade you. And the odds are you can probably get that. Like, there's probably going to be some quarterback in this draft process that people fall in love with and that you can trade your pick out of and go stockpile some picks that way. But guess what? Like, they need more picks than even that's going to provide. Like, they need a ton of picks.
Yeah, but that is one thing too. If you're a Titans fan right now, and I'm not saying this because I think there's a conversation. I think that's not a thing. But root for Indiana's Fernando Mendoza to just keep lighting the world on fire, and them to win it all. Because so many of these other possibilities, I mean, think about how hilarious it is, the conversation we've had about Arch being number 1 this year. Garrett Nussmeier hadn't gone well. Lenora Sellers hadn't gone well. Who else we got out there? Drew Aller. I mean, who knows? All these guys that they've talked about have faded badly, but Mendoza has risen. And again, he's going to be compared to the rest of the field. He looks great. Is he really a number 1 overall pick quarterback? I don't know.
I mean, what's Ty Simpson going to do? Is Ty Simpson coming out? Because he may be the guy if that happens.
Yeah, that's true. I still think sometimes he looks young to me, even as a college quarterback, but he is good. He is good. So, but like when you think about those guys and compare them to some years, it's not, again, it doesn't look like a vintage year. Now, a year ago, when everybody's complaining about Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, everybody's like, but next year, and I said it too. I mean, I raised my hand, and now it's like, oh, wait, most of these guys have stunk to different degrees. But that's, if you're a Titans fan, that's one thing that would be big here, is that there's a quarterback and a team that really covets that quarterback. I mean, who would that be? The Jets. So if you beat them out to be the number 1 pick, and then they're like, we got to get this, but they also might be like, screw that. The Titans are just going to take Reuben Bain anyway. We'll get him at 2.
Well, Jets, Saints.
So you need a team to want to jump the Jets.
Cleveland, are they rolling with?
Sure.
They just took 2 quarterbacks last year. Are they rolling with those guys? Are they moving forward? Miami going to be in that mix.
Yeah. So you need multiple of those teams to be like, we got to get over the Jets.
Exactly.
And get to 1 and draft them. And there you go. Then, you're right. It won't be a haul that can fix everything, of course. They're not going to fix everything, but
it would help.
If you make good choices, you can get competitive.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Titans have traded Roger McCreary. What do you make of the work left to rebuild this roster for Chad Brinker, Mike Borgonzi? Oh, by the way, there's a head coaching search they got to put on top of that and all that as well. So you can add that to the mix. We'll continue to discuss that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
As you're going through like navigating the conversations with the players, you trade McCreary. Like, how do you go about keeping the morale up and not giving them the image that you feel in the top?
Well, I've been in this business a long time. I've been in this business since 2000, and there's a number of different things that come up, and there's changes happen in this business, and I think the big thing is it's an opportunity for somebody else to step in and play, and that's what I told the team this morning. Is that it's an opportunity for someone else to come in here and step in, and it's all part of the business, and we're moving forward.
That's Mike McCoy yesterday in the aftermath of the Roger McCreary trade. Hey, they're moving forward. Roger, we wish you the best of luck with the LA Rams.
By the way, I do appreciate Mike McCoy just coming out and saying, "Yep, it's on me. We should have gone." I appreciate that.
Oh, and the
doesn't help anything.
The punt, yeah,
doesn't change anything, but it's better than
acting like it didn't happen.
Yeah,
Well, he said that after the game. I'm pretty sure.
Well, he said after
looking
the game,
back on it now, he's like, yeah, knowing now what I.
Yeah,
know,
he was like,
when
we didn't get it, I looked back and said, but that could be a coach being like, yeah, we can always second guess stuff that doesn't work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like yesterday was a little bit more like, yeah, it's on me. I mean, just like straight up, yes. So good for you, Mike.
Put him back in the pool candidate for the permanent head coach.
It's better than That's right. That's right. He's back in there. It's better than Brian Callahan be like, yeah, we can always second guess stuff when it doesn't work. No. That's not what happened, Brian.
Trevor says it's crazy to look back to training camp and corner was one of the positions you felt good about.
Right.
And now they've gone and created more holes in positions of need. I did think about that.
One of the few and no longer. So I know that I always go back to this, but it's just impossible there's just so many parallels, right? Coach fired second year. Incredible. Like you're absolutely right there among the worst teams in the league. And in one off season with your second year, top of the draft quarterback, you create a competitive team. So let's quickly go through. Let me just read real quick what you were looking at 10 years ago exactly with the Tennessee Titans. Let's see. I'm looking at their depth chart. I got Harry Douglas and Kendall Wright at receiver. I'm looking at Jeremiah Putasi and Chance Warmack and Byron Bell and Bishop Sankey. Oh, Jalston Fowler at fullback, though.
Nudie.
I'm looking at Sammy Hill and Parrish Cox and Parrish Cox.
Sammy Hill. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, he was
defensive line.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Parrish Cox,
Sammy Hill,
Cody Sensabaugh, Denoris Searcy. So these are some of the guys. Now the difference is, let's see, how many guys do they have where you're like, these guys you move forward with and you feel good. Now Taylor Lewan, you weren't sure, but
face of the franchise.
Yeah, I mean Andy Gallick is your center. Yeah, that's right. So Taylor Lewan, Delaney Walker, of course, obviously Mariota. Not much on offense, man.
No.
Not much on offense. On defense, Jarrell Casey, Derek Morgan, Wesley Woodyard, Avery Williamson, Brian Arakpo. So I mean.
Defense was in better shape.
More there.
Yep.
But still, every reason to think that in 2016 that team would stink out loud. So you center, running back, right tackle. I mean, a receiver in Rashard Matthews, but that was like a mid-level free agent pickup. Kevin Byard. Yeah. You actually got two backs because you drafted Derrick Henry in the second round. And I'm trying to. There are a couple other ads on D. Well, you brought in. I guess that's when you brought in. Is that when you brought back McCourty? I don't know. I don't know how that all went, but it wasn't like some. It was just a lot of good choices.
Yeah,
especially the offensive line being stabilized with center, another tackle. Your left tackle turns into a great player. All of a sudden, boom. It just looks different, and you have a running back that you can build around, that you can have an offense built around. 10 years later, everybody still, they dismiss running back and all that stuff. I also think that that's an important part of moving forward to help Cam Ward. It's just a running game that is legit.
Let's head back to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Alden to the program. Alden, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, Robby, and good morning, Rexrode. Was calling in. I'm trying to figure out what the fart the Titans are doing trading these players. I mean, You're trading a player that's a known commodity in the NFL, a starting commodity, and one of your draft picks for a draft pick. So you're moving up maybe 10, 20 spots to take a flyer on a player from Southwest Tennessee Valley Authority State Technical Community College that
Good
could
school.
maybe make the team. He may not. So I don't understand. You're not amassing more draft picks. You're trading an actual known commodity in the NFL, and you're just going to hopefully get another player that could refill their spot and probably won't. And you're not even getting an extra draft pick. It doesn't make sense to me, guys. Make it make sense. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Alden. Appreciate it. I mean, yeah, I certainly understand that thought. If you're a Titans fan out there right now, like, again, it just goes back to you're looking at the roster and it's like, okay, so you guys think you're going to find like 3 corners, a couple wide receivers, at least one edge rusher, probably need more than that, a running back, maybe a tight end. Who knows? I mean, what are they going to do with Devondre Sweat? They're getting rid of everybody else that was drafted by other people. like how much you going to be able to find in one off season? Like, I understand you got a lot of cap space and you're going to be picking high. So that's good. So you can help with some of it, but how much are you going to be able to find in one off season? That's going to be a really tricky needle to thread, I think.
Another part of this, like it's basically which ones do you prioritize?
Yeah.
I mean, look, the realistic hope is, I think we've been talking about it, but I think it's 2027, open the stadium. Can you have a team that like can aspire to be in the playoff hunt at the end of the year? That should, in this league, that should not be impossible, no matter how bad you are, especially if you've got quarterback. I'm not saying they have it figured out, but that is what they're going to do. And so obviously a big part of all of this is, does he keep growing and become a good player?
Right.
I don't know, but that's at least you're not addressing that. So which ones do you address? Which ones can you live with? Again, I go back to 10 years ago. They didn't address everything. They were in better shape on defense. They didn't address everything. They hit some spots that all of a sudden you can do that. They're not going to be good at every position. Is there any team that is good at every position? No. But the problem for them is they're basically bad.
Yeah, they're basically
almost all
bad
of
at
them.
every position. Yeah, like they're in a rough spot there. So, I mean, I guess the real difference for me, going back 10 years with the exercise you just did, I think it's helpful because I think sometimes we forget how bad it was and then it changed pretty quickly there. I don't think there's much help coming from the offensive line at this point. Like it's what they've got there. Just going to have to get better. Like you've got Dan Moore, who's going to be here next year at left tackle. You got J.C. Latham, who's going to be here at right tackle. I mean, those two guys got to play better, particularly Latham. Like I think we know what Dan Moore is, but Latham at some point is going to have to get to where they draft him to be. Skoronski, I think, has been good. You're probably going to have a new right guard next year. Is that going to be Slater? Or are you going to go like actively search for another right guard in free agency? But I mean, that's probably going to be the big difference next year with the offensive line, right? Is just like right guard.
Yeah. And then a big question on that is, okay, are Cushenberry's struggles right now something that you should expect with a guy coming off an Achilles, or does that have to be changed?
Right.
I think that's one of the big questions for the offseason. Obviously, if you're the Titans, you'd much rather be like, he'll be fine next year, and then we can look at other things. But, yeah, I agree. I also think, I think right guard, and you could draft it. You could draft a guard middle rounds and go there. You hope you have a young guy who is ready. Zeitler has not worked out.
No, he's been bad.
So
and the Lions O-line is crushing.
Yeah.
Those two young guys,
right?
Like, no problem.
They went out and drafted guys high at guard, but hey, they seem to be good at that. So yeah, you're right though. I mean, it's not going to be some major transformation. The transformation has to be, again, I really believe. I think people undersell running back, and I think that Pollard this year is a guy who just has fallen off, and it's hurt them. And Spears even coming in, you see the difference. Like, okay, and maybe he can be the other guy, but I do think that's important too. That and a number one receiver that maybe is at the top of the draft or a second round, type thing. That could be, again, if these young guys keep coming and everything, It could look a little different. Could look better. And then of course you throw in whoever your coach is, and if the coaching is better.
Yeah, for sure. Like, to me, how much different is the team if, regardless of where they take them next year, it's probably going to have to be in the draft because you're not finding these guys in free agency. But if they could just find a number one receiver, or at least a guy early in his career that will grow into being a number one receiver, he doesn't have to be straight number one right out of college.
Yeah.
But like,
But
it
a
has
starter,
that potential.
A starter who produces right away.
Starter who produces right away that you feel like can be a number one receiver. And like they need in a desperate way an edge rusher that's a difference maker. Like maybe it's Femi Oladejo in year 2. Like maybe he takes a big step as a player, but even beyond, like
You're
so
gonna
let's
get a
say that
chance
happens. Like they need one beyond that. Like they need.
Oh yeah.
You got to find those two things. If you find those two things, which is a huge if, by the way, you know, how much different does your team look if you have like somewhat of a threat to rush the passer beyond just Jeffrey Simmons and a receiver that is a go-to guy that you can throw the ball to?
You have to get a number one corner. You have to get an absolute difference-making edge. Like I think you don't have to deal much with safety. I think you need more up front too. I mean, I really do. Like, but that's the some of those things. I think ultimately, like, there's probably more addressing of the defensive roster than offensive roster in the offseason. And you can get some. You can improve some things like another inside linebacker. A corner who can at least play in free agency, right?
Yes.
Like, but the number one corner thing, the edge thing, the receiver. I mean, those are premium. Those are premium draft picks. Yeah, those are premium draft picks,
and they need all of them. Like, think about how hard those things are to find. Number one wide receiver, number one edge rusher, number one corner.
But the question is, if they got like 2/3 of this done this offseason between free agency and the draft, and they made good choices, how much better could they be next year? I'm telling you, as rank as they are right now, if they actually did it well and got 2/3 of that or whatever, whatever it is, a good chunk of that done, like you could get yourself to be like a 7-8 win watchable team.
615-737-1025, our phone number. A lot more of your thoughts to get to on the Titans. We will do that coming up next. Plus, a former Titans employee, high praise for another former Titans employee. We'll get into that as well coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Gentry Estes from the Tennessean will be with us here in about 10 minutes at 7 o'clock. We'll get into the Titans and probably a little college football with Gentry as well, so looking forward to that. Joe, a former Titans employee who's now in the media, showing some love to another former Titans employee yesterday that I saw, and I just saw this clip and started laughing, so I figured I'd share it with all of you here today. Here's what former Titans general manager Rand Carthon had to say on the success of the New England Patriots to this point.
This is a very well-coached football team, and it shows. And these guys, you could tell by the way they play football that they believe and they have bought into Mike Vrabel's brand of football and how they're going to go about their business. This you can see in situations. This team is prepared. They understand situational football in all three phases, and they play what we always talk about. You talk about combined complementary football, and they lift each other. If the defense needs to make a play, the defense makes a play. If the offense needs to stay out there on the field a little bit longer to give the defense some rest, they play complementary football. And I think you saw today, Drake May continues to play well. And the part of his game that doesn't get enough credit, enough people we don't talk about enough, is his ability to run the football, right? When everything's, and he's not doing design runs, but when things break down and it's those manageable situations, he can pull the ball down and run. Had 50 yards rushing today.
Leading rusher? Oh, no, excuse me. Travion was.
But they ran for 177 yards today. Now, granted, you had a lead, so you're going to run the ball a little bit more later. But this young man is playing lights out right now. And again, you have to give the credit to this coaching staff. He has a coaching staff that is so knowledgeable in terms of having a head coach in Mike Vrabel that understands offense, understands defense. And then you have Josh McDaniels, who's one of the greatest offensive coordinators to ever call plays in this game. And so I just think where this organization is right now, you could not have asked for better out of a first-year head coach.
That's Rand Carthon on Mike Vrabel. Loves him some Vrabel out there.
Well, by the way,
So partnership.
Yeah. Well, I saw some Titans Twitter saying, "Oh, really? Well, you fired him." Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Here's Rand Carthon. Oh, hey guys. Hey, showing up at the office. Vrabel got fired? Oh my God. Hey guys, showing up at the office. Brinker got promoted over me? Oh my God. Hey guys, showing up at the office. I'm fired.
Or, hey guys, showing up at the office. Wait, I have to do the press conference after Vrabel got fired? I didn't fire him. Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Ultra BMW on the YouTube chat. So Rand didn't want to fire him. No, Rand had no. The Vrabel thing was him and Amy and their like weird inability to like
Quarrel.
just have a conversation about things. I mean, Rand just sitting there like, I don't know, guys.
He loves him some Vrabel. I found that to be interesting yesterday.
Yeah. I mean,
This guy is an unbelievable coach.
I never thought Rand like had any issue with, he's just trying to, but he was excited about Callie too.
Yeah, he was. He sure was.
Show up at the office. Oh, we hired Callie. All right, let's go.
All right,
Hey.
Josh on the text line says, is it not possible for them to hype it up, talking about the Titans, like they're going to take Jeremiah Love, or is he not the quality first overall pick that the hype is surrounding him with right now? That's from Josh.
It's a hard
to get there with the running back.
Hard to get there with the running back. I will say, boy, he's good.
He is.
Like I just like the more the guys think about that though. Like think about, I know it's 10 years ago and it's not you can't go totally apples to apples, but like you went out and you went and traded a 4th round pick for a guy who had been the leading rusher in the league, like maybe 2 or 3 years earlier with Dallas, right?
2 years before.
Didn't really work out in Philly. He was the best running back in the league until he got hurt that year. He was the best running back in the NFL for the Tennessee Titans with an offensive line that had a road grader all of a sudden at right tackle, rookie, number 8 pick or whatever he was. Is that where Conklin went? Something like that.
I believe it was 8.
And Ben Jones at center. And all of a sudden you're mashing people. Oh, by the way, you got this rookie 22. He's not bad too. You throw him in there. And I mean, they went to Miami that year. And that was a pretty good Miami team. That was the year that Tannehill got them to the playoffs. And they ran for like 200 plus on Miami. It's so underrated still. And I mean, look around the league and tell me the best teams and tell me which of them can't run the football. And even the Chiefs, they can bring the hammer on people. They would be one of the exceptions. Look at what the Bills have with Cook right now and what he's doing for them. It makes a huge difference. Right now, the Titans have a decent back who's aging out, and I think that I'm not saying you go number 1 pick or number 2 pick or move down to 6 and take a running back. I am saying that the running game can always and forever the quarterback's best friend, and if you want to help Cam Ward, that's a big priority.
Well, and let's be clear. Like, if the Titans are going to trade out a number 1 overall pick, it's going to have to be for quarterback. Like, the quarterback, there's going to have to be some quarterback out there that somebody loves. Nobody's moving up to number 1 overall with the Titans to go get a running back.
No, I mean, I wish it was still the 70s. They were fun.
They were.
But no.
So I hear.
I had sweet bell bottoms.
I wasn't a part of that generation.
As a child.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Gentry Estes from the Tennessean will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. Talking some Titans, and to help us do that, we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Gentry Estes from the Tennessean. Gentry, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, guys. Good morning to y'all.
Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So the Titans have moved on from Roger McCreary. Hey, look, I'm not gonna act like Roger McCreary is Deion Sanders out there or anything, but it does create another hole on the roster, on a roster that, as you know, Gentry, already got a whole lot of holes there. So what do you make of where the roster currently stands for the Titans and how long-term of a project this appears to be for Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi, who are in an organization where people just don't get a whole lot of time to do things in this organization?
No, and then you look back, and Roger McCreary was a pretty good player for the Titans. I mean, he did okay for a few years, but was he good enough to justify the 35th overall pick in the 22 draft? Probably not. You just traded a second round pick for a fifth, sixth pick swap, and that sort of thing has been happening a lot, where a few years after the fact, you're not getting value for what you had originally. And I think that's kind of why this roster is where it is. You look back at the draft decisions of 20, 21, 22, and they haven't panned out very well. So, yes, big rebuilding project. I don't think losing Roger McCreary is really going to move the needle that much, because the needle was already pretty much in a place that look, this is a hopeless situation for the Titans. And you hate to say it that way because there's so many games to go, but where there was anger about this team's performance, I think we're now getting pretty heavy into apathy.
Yeah, I guess, my thing with this, Gentry, is just without knowing, what McCreary wanted to do or was asking for or whatever, is just like, even not long ago, you looked at corner as, okay, at least that's a spot where they got some young guys. Maybe that's not going to be a spot they have to deal with. They have so much else to deal with between free agency and the draft. Okay, you can set that one aside. Well, now, especially because I don't know what you think, but I don't think Snead will be here next year, and I wouldn't be surprised if we never see him take another snap. Like, you have to completely start over at that position too, right? I mean, I guess it's just when you add it all together, Brownlee and McCreary together bothers me, I mean, they like McCreary on its own, not necessarily, but those two together, now you have another entire position group that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, that's fair. And if you guys saw who made the play to win the game for the Jets at the end of the game on Sunday. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and although I guess you could say he's still helping the Titans because now that first pick starts coming into view again. But no, I mean, you look at this roster and it's like, okay, it's easier to just say, what positions do you feel good about? I mean, okay, you're not going to probably draft a quarterback, maybe tackle a couple of the O-line spots, but yeah, I mean, they need everything, and they've needed everything. I think this latest draft class is proving to be helpful if there is any silver lining to all this. The young receivers look pretty good. DK's playing well. I think Gunnar Helm's a good player. There are some – I think Kevin Winston, when he is out there defensively, you're going to see him play well at safety. So there are some younger guys, and I think this latest draft class is maybe some reason for optimism. But, yeah, they need everything. And that's been the worst part of this. Yes, the Titans are a rebuilding team, and they have been for a couple of years. The worst part of this is it's really hard to look at this and see reasons for hope beyond maybe Cam Ward continuing to improve and play better as the season goes along. There really isn't another thing you look at with the Titans and say, I'm really excited about where it's headed with this.
So to that point, Gentry, there's, as you mentioned, a laundry list of needs that the team has, and there's more important positions that they need than what I'm about to ask you about. But how important do you think running back is moving forward? Pollard looks just way slower, way less explosive to me than he did a year ago. Spears, we'll see if he can, stay healthy the rest of the year, all those things. But to me, on that list of needs, running back has got to be on there somewhere, because I just feel like they need a little bit more explosiveness from that position that right now they don't have.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you guys made a good point on Jeremiah Love. I think, you don't take the guy that high, but you're talking about a football player that's going to go in and help somebody. And it does matter that you have a running back. It's one of those positions in the league, a little bit like a middle linebacker who gets 150 tackles. It's like those guys are so undervalued in today's NFL, and yet it matters. And running back is certainly one of those positions, as evidenced by the Titans getting Derrick Henry, who's going to go down as one of the best players in franchise history in the second round. So I do feel like running back's a big spot. I think Tajay Spears, I would like to see more of him the rest of the way, as you say, if he does stay healthy, because I do think he's passed Tony Pollard a little bit. I think he's probably the Titans' best back right now. Certainly the guy you would rather have the football in space. There seems to be, I don't know if Pollard's taking a step back or what it is this season, but the explosiveness just hasn't been there. And I do think they might have something there with Spears. We still don't really know with Tajay. He hasn't stayed healthy long enough to really be out there to where I think the Titans necessarily know what they have yet in him. But no, I think the best thing, and Joe made the point, the best thing for Cam Ward would be to have a good run game. And the Titans, in addition to everything else they've been lacking this year, they've not been able to run the ball as well this year as they did the year before.
I don't think we've hit you up on this. So, I mean, I know I'm putting you on the spot here. If we have, then I really have issues with my memory and it's getting alarming. But
okay, now I'm curious where
me too.
Give me your quick top three for the next Titans coach.
Next top three for the next Titans coach. I would start with Arthur Smith. That one makes the most sense to me. Arthur would be familiar with the situation here. I think he would, you're talking about a guy who knows the team, would want to be in the city, and has been a head coach before. And I thought did a little bit better job in Atlanta than maybe some people thought. Along the same lines, I think Nagy's on the list too, as a guy who probably get a little bit better job as a head coach than gets credit for. And, the third one, can we rule out Mike McCoy now?
Yes.
Yes, we can, please.
Yeah, because, there was some thought about that the first couple of weeks, especially, and if Cam Ward had really responded well to him and started playing wonderfully as soon as Mike McCoy stepped into that role, then I think you would have a strong case for continuity's sake to say, all right, maybe we let him ride this out until we're a better team. But man, how are you going to punt on 4th and 3 on the Colts side of the field in a game that you've got no chance to win anyway, and you actually are holding on? There's a glimmer of hope, and you can't bring yourself to go for it. Come on, man. I think so. I think that we can probably write him off the list and look for someone else at number 3, I guess. I can think on that.
There we go. I like that. Let's switch gears to college football. On the Vanderbilt front, they get the win against Missouri. They got Texas coming up on Saturday with the status of Arch Manning unknown at this point. So we'll see what happens on that front. But what did you make of Vanderbilt not having their fastball offensively, but still grinding one out against Missouri, and the path that's now in front of them to make the college football playoff?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was there Saturday. We missed you there, Joe, by the way, in the Vandy press box.
Yeah, I had to go watch a terrible Big Ten game.
So I think I made some Vanderbilt fans mad, actually, after that game, because I kind of wrote that it was an underwhelming performance and they were fortunate to win, which I think is true. Vanderbilt got beat in a lot of the areas that they want to win a game. The things they do well, they didn't really do well in this game. Missouri kind of controlled the lines of scrimmage. To me, that was a little bit alarming for a team in Vanderbilt who did kind of wear down at the end of last season. So you don't know, is that concerning or what? So I write that, and I think people took that as me kind of raining on the parade with game day and everything they had going on. Nothing to say. It's obviously quite a moment for Vanderbilt football right now. But on the field, they were kind of fortunate to win that game Saturday. So I am curious to see what that means for the last month of the season. This is a team that plays a very physical brand of football, and I think it wore down over the course of last season because of it. Now, a big part of that was Pavia getting injured last year. They're a good bit healthier now, which is encouraging. But if you watch that game against Missouri, Missouri was able to keep Vanderbilt from doing a lot of what they want to do, especially offensively. There were a lot of 3 and outs. They were able to kind of win the game up front, and that had not been happening to Vanderbilt. That said, you're sitting here 7-1 going to Texas. You win that game, you come home, and all you got to do is handle Auburn and Kentucky. But I will say, Vanderbilt is going to have to play better the last month of the season than they played against Missouri. They did get a little fortunate, and they made some plays to win that game. That's what you got to do. You got to win an ugly game, and I understand all that. But there were a couple of alarming things to that game.
No, I think that's fair. I also think Missouri's good. I think that Missouri's got dudes on D, and you saw it. But the depth thing is definitely a big. I think that's as college football moves forward with this, what we have. I mean, the teams that have depth are. I think that's going to be a big storyline because of how many games you have to play after this point to try once you get in that tournament. And does Vandy have enough of that right now? This week, Gentry, you've got Texas, which I think might be dead right now had they not had this incredible turnaround. They've obviously been. I don't know. Are they the most disappointing team? I mean, I guess Penn State would be. I mean, they're the preseason number 1, but at least they're still alive. Penn State's got to be the most disappointing, but still highly disappointing. Like, what do you think we're going to see here? I still think Texas has talent all over the field. We don't know about Arch. But like you said, I mean, if Vanderbilt wins this game, it is in position to not even need the win at Tennessee at the end, potentially.
I mean, it's crazy. I wouldn't overlook everyone now. They're just kind of assuming wins over Auburn and Kentucky. Auburn in particular, I wouldn't put that in the win column just yet for sure. That's another pretty good defense. It could be similar to that Missouri game. But who's to say Vanderbilt can't go win this game in Austin? I don't think we ever would have thought going into the season that it would set up to where, well, maybe Vandy should win this game. I mean, that's kind of what it looks like right now. But I think with Vanderbilt, and it kind of goes back to the point of this weekend, my view on them has stopped. I've finally been able to stop looking at this and go, gosh, can you believe it's Vanderbilt? Can you believe they're doing all this? And start looking at this, as you said, Joe, what can they really do with this? Because now you're not really thinking anymore about like, oh God, can they win this many games or can they get in the playoff? Now it's like, okay, what can they do if they actually do get in the playoff? And I think the standards probably have changed. They've earned that going the last month of the season. They're in a wonderful position, a position that I'm not sure that program has ever been in before. But it's like, what do you do with it now? Because the games are only going to get more important as we go here. It's like you guys have said, it's like every week it's like the most important game in program history, and that's going to keep happening.
Well, Gentry, it's been fun to watch. Thank God we have some good football in this city to watch. We will talk to you soon, my friend, and thanks for being with us this morning.
You bet. Take care, guys.
Gentry Estes from the Tennessean, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll react to what Gentry had to say. Plus, it is an ever-changing landscape for the coaches right now in college football. What does that mean for one local coach around here? We will get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. MTSU taking on Jacksonville State tomorrow at 6:30. You can catch all the action on Totally Hits 93.3 with coverage also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at TotallyHitsNashville.com. Appreciate Gentry Estes from the Tennessean for being with us in the last segment. Joe, as we know, it's a busy time in college football, not only from the games and the college football playoff discussion heating up and the calendar's flipping to November, but also coaches are getting fired all over the place. You've got Billy Napier in the SEC already been fired. You got Brian Kelly that was just fired this past weekend. James Franklin fired by Penn State, and who knows what else is coming on the coach firing front as the season continues here. Adam Sparks did an interesting piece yesterday at the Knoxville News Sentinel, kind of roping all that discussion into the Josh Heupel part of this. And basically, his point was, Heupel is dealing with a lot of problems right now that winning coaches deal with. Like, people are mad at his coordinators and people are mad at some play calling every now and then. But, his point was, Brian Kelly could never find a way to get LSU to the playoff. Heupel has done that with Tennessee. Billy Napier couldn't get the offense going in Florida. Obviously, Heupel has done that at Tennessee. Sam Pittman couldn't get his team to improve at Arkansas. Heupel has gotten better throughout his time there. So, like, all the hallmarks that you're kind of looking for with a coach and a program, Heupel has done to this point. So, very big game for him coming up this weekend. It's basically a playoff game on Saturday at Neyland Stadium against Oklahoma, and we'll see how that goes for Tennessee. I think there has been a very loud minority from the Tennessee fan base on social media that's really mad at Josh Heupel in the aftermath of the Alabama game, and it's starting to look at, like, is he the guy? Like, this is he the guy that is going to carry them forward and compete for national championships? Do they need to go ahead and cut bait and move on from him? I don't think that conversation is very loud right now. I do think that conversation is pretty loud on his defensive coordinator at the moment, and we'll see what that looks like at the end of the season here. But how do you kind of view the landscape in the SEC, all these coaches getting fired, where Josh Heupel fits into that right now at Tennessee, and how cold his seat currently either is or should be in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's a very good point by Sparks when you compare him to some of these flameouts all around him. I mean, the Brian Kelly thing, obviously is the big one this week, but it's a big one. I mean, just the size of the buyout, the absolute. I mean, that was a earth shaker when they went and got him from Notre Dame, and it was all about, this is a place where I can win a national title, and LSU is like, we got ourselves and it just was bad. And it just quickly on Kelly. I mean, if you go around on social media right now, I feel like every former player who hates his guts is sending out a tweet about why they hate his guts.
Has anyone ever liked him?
I mean, I think there's
somebody has to.
Yeah,
right?
I think there's players who played for him or who respect him and had decent relationships with him. But, the thing is, a lot of what Brian Kelly is as a coach is a little bit older school, but he's never been approachable by players. He's always been a jerk on the sideline, screaming at coaches and players. It's not that different from Nick Saban. It's just that Saban won national titles. And I think he also did some things in those ways better. But when you look at Heupel, first of all, it's funny because I'm working on this thing trying to figure out who should get all these jobs and who might be available. And I listed a bunch of Power 4 head coaches who might be enticed to change jobs, such as Lane Kiffin, such as Kenny Dillingham, and Clark Lee is certainly on the list. He's going to be. I mean, Clark Lee's already being mentioned in LSU jobs. He's going to be mentioned with a bunch of jobs. I did not put Heupel on there because if Oklahoma does open, then okay, then I think maybe you have. But Heupel's not really moving up, So I think on his side of it, I don't see anything. On the hot seat, I mean, I think his seat should be cool as a cucumber right now. Now, look.
And by the way, I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. This is where sometimes you look at a fan base and it's like that they do kind of dictate. And it's like, hey, these fans are out on this guy. I was just up at Michigan State. They're out. They had nobody. Magic Johnson sent out a tweet last night like, I'm very disappointed in my football team. It's like, that's the nastiest tweet Magic Johnson has ever sent. Usually it's just like, I like sports and popcorn. I mean, they're out. Tennessee fans, there's a small percentage of these people who are like, just fire everybody every freaking game, right?
Yeah.
What percentage of Tennessee fans like actually want to move on from Heupel?
Like,
I'll say it's about 4%.
Yeah, it's very small.
So, but I will say too, it was discouraging on the road. Like at some point with Heupel, you do get to like, okay, is it time to take the next step? Can this guy not get us to the next step? This is a huge game for him because this team has raised the expectations.
Yes,
I think this team should be in the playoff. It's just, it's at this point, it's hard to not look at the defense and say they are missing something they shouldn't be missing. They have too much talent to be that bad, but they're pretty bad.
Defense is bad, and we'll see if they, win the game against Oklahoma. They got to go to Florida, which I know Tennessee fans are freaking out about. You got Vanderbilt at the end of the year, so I mean, look, they could lose 3 more games. We'll see what happens on that front. Keith points out no one should be mad at Heupel. Let's not forget where we were before Heupel got there. Life is good. And that's largely where I stand. Like, Heupel has done a very good job at Tennessee.
Yeah.
A very good job.
No doubt.
At Tennessee. Now, is Josh Heupel going to be the coach that gets them to the point where they are competing for a national championship? And I don't, making the 12-team playoff and competing for a national championship to me are not the same things. And I think to a lot of people are not the same things. Are you like is he going to get you to the point where you're the elite of the elite? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. Like, he's got a good recruiting class coming in next year. I think there's limitations as to what that means in today's landscape of college football, because we talked about that forever with Nico, and then he bolted. He's got number 1 quarterback, depending on where you look, coming in next year. We'll see how that all ends up shaking out. So, like, to me, there's nothing going on right now with Heupel that makes me think he's anywhere close to being on the hot seat. I do think if you get 2-3 years down the road and this is what it is, which is really good, but maybe not great, then I think you start to say, okay, how do you handle that? How do you view that? If you're Danny White, if you're Tennessee at that point, I don't think we're anywhere close to it right now.
No, but yeah, like if look, it's like at some point, obviously we just saw it with James Franklin. He took a program that was, I mean, tough spot, although Bill O'Brien also, did some good things in a very short period of time. And he got him to a certain point, and then all of a sudden it becomes this narrative of his record against, top 5, top 10, all that stuff. A lot of it was just basically not be able to beat Ohio State. But with Heupel, he has a better. He's won some of those big games, but there's also with him, it's like the road games, and so like at some point you need another step forward with him. And look, people are mad at Tim Banks, and I think that I think that starts to become a possible conversation. Tim Banks at DC. I mean, sometimes you have to make tough choices. I also think that Heupel, I think obviously this year they're back, but that offense wobbled when they lost Alex Golish, and Alex Golish is going to, if he wants to, potentially get a Power 4 head coaching job now too. Coordinators are huge in this thing. I mean, look at like Coach O. He had 2 great coordinators, and he had talent all over the field, but still, like, those coordinators were a huge part of them winning it all. So I agree. At some point, you have that conversation. I don't think we're close to it yet.
615-737-1025, our phone number. A lot of your thoughts to get to on the Heupel front. We will do that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Got the Rob rant coming up here in about 10 minutes. Bruce Feldman from The Athletic will be with us at 8:30. We got a lot of things on the college football front to get into with him. Taking your thoughts on Josh Heupel and Tennessee as well. A lot of people very mad at Tim Banks. We've gotten a lot of responses about Tim Banks on the text line, which is not surprising. One texter says Banks' defense relies on elite players, which they only have on the edge. They could stop the run with the front four last year, which made everything easier, along with the All-American corner. Got a hard time adjusting in game, and it cost the Georgia game. And almost in Mississippi State, there should be a conversation about him. Now, Heupel, to this point, been pretty loyal to his staff. I do wonder at the end of the year, like if the defense doesn't get better, let's say they miss out on a college football playoff, does that become a conversation that he legitimately entertains, or is that just fan noise and not actual substance to it?
That's a good question. I think that's one of the hardest things about being I think especially a college football coach, but probably a big time football coach in either college or the NFL, is that balance between your loyalty, your relationships, and just being able to make the hard choices and saying, we just got to go get somebody. Somebody like Brian Kelly. That's a guy who never had any problem. Yeah, get out of here, dude. I'm bringing in somebody who's better. And look, Nick Saban he went through so many coordinators. For the most part, it was like they did well. They won big. They got jobs. He had to replace them. But he also made hard choices too his whole career. And so I think I think the offense is going great this year. I do think that there was an obvious step back at OC and when Golish left. And also, I think it's fair to talk about Banks. I'm not saying he should be fired, but it's been a disappointing year. He also expected to have different people at corner. There's some things that have gone on. The Boot Carter thing is not on Tim Banks. That's just it's a bad situation, and I think you saw it in the last game. Every time I see that play, it blows my mind. He had him tackled at the 10 if he wanted to.
Yeah,
he just slowed up,
stop,
let him go.
Yeah,
but it's fair. I mean, it's disappointing. I thought they'd be, and just imagine if they were close to. Again, the corner thing is what it is, but like stopping the run and things like that, and linebacker play, like if they were safety play, if they were close to what we thought they'd be, this team would be.
Yeah,
pretty sick.
They'd be, like think about, we've talked about this before. If you could put like the 2022 Tennessee offense and the 2024 Tennessee defense together, what would that team look like?
Yeah, look like a national champion.
So I guess that's my point is there a year coming up here pretty soon where that's what it is, where you've got whatever the best version of your defense is and whatever the best version of your offense is together at the same time, because they've not really had that to this point. Like last year, pretty darn good defense. Now, granted, in fairness, that defense got absolutely lit up against Ohio State, as did everybody else last year in the college football playoff. But pretty good defense and an offense that was just good enough to kind of get you there at that point, particularly with Sampson running the ball. Like this offense is way better than last year's Tennessee's offense, but the defense is significantly worse than it was last year. So is there a year coming up where those two things kind of come together at the same time? Because that's, along with the recruiting that he's doing, that's how you get into the conversation of actually being a threat to go win a championship.
Yeah. And I know that, like you've said, I have to have the same thought, like just not going to see Jermod McCoy.
Yeah.
But I mean, we just talked to Eric Kane, and I don't know, like there's still this feeling that he wants to play. I still would, like if I was his agent and it's like, yes, it's 100% healthy. It's stable. It's all good. I know you get this deep in the season. It's like, do we want to mess around with it? I still might make the case like you out and play some good football.
I agree.
You solidify yourself as a first-round pick, or you help yourself in the draft.
I don't know that I have doubt that he wants to get back out there. I just like the fact that he's not been able to get on the field yet with the team is concerning to me. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It's November.
Right. And I without, I guess, like knowing nothing about it, I would probably assume they just said to bag it, but it doesn't sound like it. So anyway, what did they do? Get him back, for end of the year. And again, these postseasons last forever. If you're going to be good, could that defense still take a big step forward?
It'd be nice to see. They're going to need it on Saturday night. real quick on the Clark Lee front, we've talked about it would probably take a pretty special circumstance and job to open up for him to give serious consideration to leaving Vanderbilt. Is the LSU job that job?
I know
if they
that
come calling his way, would that be one of those things?
I know that Steve Wiltfong, 24/7 Sports, long time their top recruiting guy, made a sort of impassioned case yesterday for why Clark Lee is who they should basically target. Look, if I'm Clark Lee and LSU comes at me, is all in, first of all, you have to have the conversations. You have to listen to them, and you have to consider the LSU job, as some people have made clear, and this is why, to me, Lane Kiffin, if I'm Lane Kiffin, I prefer LSU or Florida. Even though Florida, we know, Florida has the potential. They've won national championships. It's a talent-rich state. LSU is the rare situation, as people have pointed out here recently in the wake of Brian Kelly, where the top talent in that state goes to LSU. It doesn't matter what the coach. The coach is less important. And of course, you have to all the things. You have to be competitive financially and all that stuff, and you will be. There's something about that's kind of there's a little bit of more stability with that in place. Not to mention, arguably the best environment at home to win games. Like, there's other things that you look at as a coach to win. And again, I'm sorry, but the fact that Coach O won a natty there, the fact that Les Miles won a natty there, also should tell you something. I mean, I think that Clark Lee would have to take a serious look at that. Do I think he would leave Vanderbilt for LSU? I guess right now I would probably guess no. But if you're a Vanderbilt fan who's like, he's home and this is his alma mater. People leave their alma mater sometimes. Kenny Dillingham's at Arizona. That's his alma mater. I'm not signing up for the idea that he's definitely there for life. Sometimes, like, you just get an amazing opportunity. LSU would be the one that at least you'd have to really listen, right?
If I'm Clark Lee, I'm listening to that way more than I'm listening to, like, Penn State, for instance. That's just me. I think it's going to take for Clark Lee, being a Nashville guy, doing what he's doing at Vanderbilt right now, to leave that. I think it's going to take something pretty special. LSU would be in that category to me. Like, it'd be hard for me to turn that down if I was him. Now, I'm not saying he won't turn it down. I'm not saying that he's going to be their first call. Like, they may go hire somebody without ever speaking to Clark Lee.
There's some people who really like Kelvin Shepard, the Lions D coordinator, who of course is an LSU legend.
Yeah, so I don't even know how high up on LSU's list Clark Lee would be. I would have to assume it'd be somewhere on there at some point, but that would be one of those jobs where I would have to give it some serious thought if I was Clark Lee.
So for as amazing as this is, Vanderbilt fans, all the things that come with winning and being in the conversation, being relevant, this is one of the things that also comes with it. People trying to get your coach.
Yep. 615-737-1025, our phone number. The Rob Rant coming up next. We'll have Bruce Feldman from The Athletic at 8:30. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
I'll siphon gasoline through your tailpipe.
Anybody want my pocket mints? Pocket mints. Going once, going twice. Anybody want one?
The New Jersey version of Mr. Clean is here. You're bald.
Oh, you must really love yourself.
Brian, did you know that when the receiver's elbow's down in bounds, that's a catch?
Wait, you were bald at 8 years old?
That Lane Kiffin hiring his ancient father to be the defensive coordinator out there. Why can't he just go hire somebody normal? Oh, at least he didn't say he hated his father. It is time for the Rob Rant, brought to you by Functional Medicine of Tennessee. Rise up to better health. Check them out at functionalmedicineoftennessee.net. Today, I want to focus on the fan base here in Nashville, and specifically with the Predators here, but really sports fans here in general in Nashville. Because I would love for at one point here, the Titans, the Predators, whichever one, take your pick, for them to trade for somebody who is sign, whatever, a potential future Hall of Famer that comes here and continues to play like a future Hall of Famer. And it just ain't happening, man. They've had Randy Moss roll through here with the Titans, and I don't even know how much he got on the field with Jeff Fisher in there. I mean, he's just hanging out on the sideline pretty much, and that didn't go very well for the Tennessee Titans. They had Andre Johnson here for a cup of coffee. He did catch a game-winning touchdown pass against the Detroit Lions from Marcus Mariota, so at least some level of contribution there before he just up and retired. So you've got that part of it going. I mean, Hopkins had one decent year here, right? One decent year. We know Julio. That didn't go well. That did not go well with the Tennessee Titans. It's like at some point, can you get one of these guys to come in here and play at the same level that they've been at all career, or at least close to it, the same level that they've been at their entire career? And Joe, unfortunately, I think we're moving pretty rapidly towards the next story of that in this city, being Steven Stamkos. And that guy's future Hall of Famer. He's closing in on 600 goals, two-time Stanley Cup champion, and he's got 2 points in 10 games for the Predators. 1 goal, 1 assist. He's being outscored by Cole Smith right now for the Predators. That's how things are going for Steven Stamkos. And, we talked about it at the time he signed his contract. Tampa Bay obviously was not willing to go there with him. He's 35. He'll be 36 coming up in February. And look, it's not like Tampa Bay's off to a rocking start this year either, but they did basically choose Jake Gensel over Steven Stamkos, and that has worked out very well for Tampa Bay in terms of the choice that they made there. Look, I like Steven Stamkos a whole lot. I've got as much respect for Steven Stamkos as probably any player I've ever been around when it comes to the NHL. Like, he's everything that you want in a hockey player. But it's pretty clearly going the other way on him. And I don't know, like, he's going to play better, I think, than he's played so far this year to this point. Like, he'll probably go through a couple of stretches where he'll roll off, 3-4 goals in a 5-game stretch or something like that. But the thing that concerns me the most, Joe, is you watch him out there, and it's just, he's not dangerous at all. Like, power play, maybe they'll get that figured out at some point this year. 5-on-5, he's just not dangerous at all. How much of that is him? How much of that is the people that he's playing with? It's probably some combination of the two. But the guy's got 2 points in 10 games. It hasn't looked good at all. And it just feels like, Joe, another one of those situations where you bring in a guy that's highly accomplished in this city, has done a lot of things, has a one-way ticket, first ballot Hall of Famer coming up, and they get here and just not much going on. That's what it's looking like we're headed with Steven Stamkos right now.
The way this started, I did not anticipate this was going to turn into
the curve.
And Steven Stamkos. let's rip him for a minute. It's a fair point. It's kind of depressing. I also think that we should take some heat because, boy, we had a little bit of fun at the expense of Tampa Bay's decision making that summer with a few things that they did. And turns out that they had an idea. They timed it well. I will ask this, and I know it's been extreme with the Titans. And one of my answers is That's why when you get a Hall of Fame level player, you keep them. A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
But I guess I'd wonder how many guys like that go to another place and then they maintain the. Now, obviously,
Well, Preds have had one. Paul Correa was that guy.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
Hall of Famer, and there's some different stuff going on with him. But he had some injuries. He ended up from Anaheim to Colorado. Lockout comes here, and he was awesome for 2 years.
Like, obviously, your Packers have a guy, but that's also an extreme and extremely stupid situation on the Dallas side. I mean, that's when you very rarely see is like absolute prime. Usually there's you're some level of on the downside,
Correct.
right? It does seem like this city has had it especially bad terms of like the outcomes. Like, again, like Julio's an example of a guy who I know some people want to try to act like they're smart and say they knew all along, but like there were more reasons to believe than not that he still had a lot left.
Well, yes. Now, I agree with you. Some level of downside. Like, I had no doubt when they signed Stamkos. Like, the idea that he was just going to roll off 40 goals every year here, I just think I don't think anybody expected that. I will say, though, like the 3 years before he got here, he had 42 goals and 106 points in 21-22. He had 34 goals and 84 points in 22-23. And the year before he got here in Tampa, 40 goals, 81 points. That's pretty high level play that he had. And then he gets here and it just immediately goes the other way.
Whew.
Yeah.
And it is not just him, of course. They were terrible last year. And right now, like their power play, because he has to load up on the power play at this point. So he has to.
Well, and again, like he loaded up a lot on the power play in Tampa too. So it's fair to point that out. I mean, that power play in Tampa is outrageous.
Insane.
When it's got, you're talking about Kucherov and Hedman and Point and him. Like, that's a pretty outrageous power play. So obviously there's a huge difference going from that to what they've got here with the power play. Having said that, I mean, there have been multiple nights this year where you just don't notice him at all out there. And other people pointed this out too. Like, when they went through Canada last week, I can't remember who they were playing, maybe the Jets, and some national Canadian punchers like, I have not noticed Steven Stamkos one time in this game, and that to me is probably more concerning than anything else. Like the slow production to start, it's concerning, but sometimes that's explainable. Sometimes it's like, well, I mean, the guy's just incredibly unlucky in the year. He's just not doing much out there right now.
And the thing with guys in this league, obviously a lot of them can continue to, produce at a high level at an older age. But like, you think about the mileage logged at that age in this league for a lot of these guys who get in the league when they're young. I mean, it's kind of amazing that some of them can produce as late as they can.
Yeah.
But there's some tread off the tires.
I will say this. There's one texter that says Stamkos is risking first ballot Hall of Fame the next 3 years if he continues to suck like this. There's no chance he's a first ballot after performing like he did last year. He's first ballot Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
No. He could not score a goal in any game he plays the rest of his career, and he's still a first ballot Hall of Fame.
Yeah. All the stuff that happened in Tampa Bay will continue to have happened.
Yes. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Some injury news that could affect the Vanderbilt Commodores this weekend. We will get into that. Coming up next, Bruce Feldman from The Athletic at 8:30. All that ahead, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Bruce Feldman from The Athletic will join us here in about 30 minutes at 8:30. We'll get into some college football with him. Joe, speaking of college football, some injury news that could impact Vanderbilt this weekend as they travel to Austin to take on Texas. Arch Manning in concussion protocol, and he had to leave the Mississippi State game on Saturday. Texas came back, won that game 45-38 in overtime against Mississippi State, and Arch Manning was, I believe, 29 of 46 in that game. 3 touchdowns, did have the 1 pick, also a rushing touchdown for Arch Manning as well. So there was some good in that game from Arch. There was some bad in that game from Arch. And now his status in question moving forward to this week against Vanderbilt. So if you're a Vanderbilt fan, it's amazing to talk about this, given what we were talking about before the season. How are you feeling about that if you're Vanderbilt heading into this game? Because on the one hand, I mean, I think we all recognize that Arch Manning has a lot of talent and a lot of ability. It has not come through very consistently this year on the field with him. On the other hand, you're dealing with a backup quarterback if you're Vanderbilt against Texas at that point. And most people, you'd rather play their backup than their starter. Breaking news here on the program. So how do you view this if you're Vanderbilt heading into this game, if you're a Vanderbilt fan on the Arch Manning front?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Arch ends up with the really good numbers and made some big time throws in that comeback. The comeback doesn't happen without the ridiculous punt return, but he ends up throwing for 346 and 3, threw a pick. He was struggling mightily. He has struggled mightily for a lot of this season, just kind of off the mark, and just hasn't looked very good. But the thing with Arch throughout all this, and it's always been a thing that he's done well, and he has done well this year, is he can run around and extend plays, and he can run and be a threat with his legs. And I guess that'd be my question is, you know, Matthew Caldwell, the backup, comes in, hits Emmett Mosley for the game-winning touchdown. What is Matthew I don't know the answer. What is Matthew Caldwell as a dual threat? If he's more statuesque and it's clearly just less of an issue to try to like keep your pass rush caged in and not have to have that element of your game plan be a big thing defensively, I think I'd take the backup.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would take the backup either way. I know that Arch has struggled. We have seen Arch, like when he does put it together, look like a pretty good football player at times this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying the backup quarterback's he's at Texas, so it's not like he's some bomb out there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that can't happen. Just given the choice, if I'm a Vandy fan, if Arch couldn't go this week, I'd probably be like, okay, yeah, we'll take the backup quarterback for Texas. Bring it on.
Yeah, and it's just as long as there's not some huge difference in skill set where, you know, like
running the speed option.
You have to, like, it's like this week you have to, right, like you have to prepare for 2 totally different things. I don't think that's the case. So I'm with you. I think ultimately you would probably rather not have to see Arch. But again, I also think you have confidence if you do.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think Vanderbilt should have a lot of confidence heading into this game either way. Look, it's on the road at Texas. I think Texas has a good defense. The majority of the season would tell me that Texas has a good defense. It didn't necessarily go overly well for them last week against Mississippi State until later in the game when it did go well for them in that game, and they came up with some big stops. But like Vanderbilt, if Vanderbilt plays the way that they've played the majority of this year, they're going to be in the game in the fourth quarter with a chance to win it. And it's all you can ask for going on the road to Texas in the SEC with the talent level that they've got. Vanderbilt be in good position to win it if they play their brand of ball, I think. Like, it's a 1.5 point spread. Texas favored by 1.5.
Give me that 20, Stilly. Still waiting, buddy. Yeah. No, listen. Texas's defense, I think the Tennessee offense, the Mississippi State offense, the Art Briles offense, the Ole Miss offense, I think those offenses it's just you can destroy defenses that otherwise are sound and solid against like just about any other offense. part of the reason people run that offense, because
Yeah.
it can make it can change the math on a really good defense. So now Vanderbilt also does different things. So now, and I think what Gentry said earlier, good point. I mean, Missouri definitely took away a lot of stuff Vandy does well and did a fantastic job against that offense on the road. Really impressive. / if you want to say, alarming for Vanderbilt. So Texas has speed everywhere. They've got pros on that defense. Does the scheme for Vanderbilt make the difference, or bother them? Again, I just think this game, and football still, it's energy and it's inspiration and emotion, all that stuff. And if they don't have this miraculous comeback last week, I'd really like Vanderbilt's chances, because if you're not going to be at your max capacity, I think intangibly against Vanderbilt's offense, then they can grind you into dust with these 7-minute touchdown drives.
Yeah, and again, going back to before the season, think about, in August having the conversation of like a lot of people expecting Vanderbilt to walk into Texas and win on Saturday, which I know from some Vanderbilt fans that are friends of mine that I've talked to makes them incredibly nervous heading into this game. They're like, yeah, this is the one that really freaks me out before the Tennessee game, of everybody's just dumping on Texas all year long and how bad they are. Like, do they put it together one week and just – I thought the Oklahoma game maybe was that game where they put it together and they looked okay offensively, played great defensively in that game. Mateer was hurt in that game, so you got to keep that involved. Like, he's coming back from the hand, and it was clear that he was not the same guy in that. So, but after that, they've struggled since then. So I just don't know what to make of Texas, because on the one hand, they've got so much talent. I still think Arch, if he puts it together, can be a good quarterback. But now, like, is Sark looking at the NFL? Has he got one foot out the door? What's all that look like? I don't know. Like, it's just a weird thing going on in Texas.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the crazy thing is that, and I thought for sure we were going to see the Mississippi State games happening, and I'm like, so this Sark lets his agent put this out there. I mean, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And this is the response from his team.
Yep.
They're just like, screw you. And then they have that was so close to me, this being like a Walking Dead team that you're playing this week. Pretty crazy. I think this storyline, Robbie, I can see myself just kidding. A texter says, can't crap on Arch too much. He has about the same stats as, air quotes, Heisman candidate Pavia. Guys, I mean, I know that I'm assuming you're a Tennessee fan. I understand that you, first of all, Aguilar has better passing stats than Pavia. Look, I'm just telling you, again, what Pavia has done merits inclusion in that race right now. Let's go to the athletic straw poll. Mendoza leading by far, 19 first place votes, 63 points. Ty Simpson, 1 first place vote, 28 points. Diego Pavia, 4 first place votes, 26 points. Nobody else is close. Haynes King is 4th with 10 points. That's just the athletic staff, but it's a pretty big staff. We got a lot of people who cover college football, and most of us have Heisman votes. It's a real thing, and it should be a real thing. Pavia is a Heisman candidate. I'm sorry. Like, if you're going to reduce it to stats or the hilarious, the school is doing a campaign for him, then you're just being ignorant. All right, sorry.
Well, also,
we can move off that now.
Triggered. We'll see. Pavia is going to have a few more chances here, including this Saturday on the road at Texas, to come up with some moments that either,
and he's going to need to
either increase those chances, or, I mean, who knows? 2 weeks from now, he could be off the board completely. I mean, that's how the Heisman thing works in college football. It can change pretty dramatically from a week-to-week standpoint. But yeah, like, watch Pavia play. Like, he's pretty good, man. Like, you can be a hater if you want to, and I don't know if Diego Pavia is ever going to take a snap in the NFL. I have no idea. But for that team, that program, go watch the games, man. Like, he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah, and again, one thing you're not going to change is it is Vanderbilt. It has been an insane, complete 180 with his time in the program. And, that all this talk, he's cocky or whatever, he does some cocky stuff for sure. Like, there is no question that he is respected by his teammates and loved by his teammates and is not seen as like a selfish guy or anything like that. Like he is a Pied Piper in a college football program. And you know what? I think there's less of that now, given the way the game has changed and the way people change teams and all this stuff. And I know it's only his second year here, but that's part of this, and it's not insignificant.
Now, bringing up the word Heisman really just makes people mad. Somebody wondering when we're going to put some respect on Ty Simpson's name.
Well, I just read it out. Like, he's second. He's above Pavia. And you know what? I think he should be above Pavia. He beat Pavia head-to-head. Pavia threw the pick late in the game, so Simpson should be ahead of him. In fact, I don't even remember if I think I had my vote this week. I think I definitely had Pavia third. I think I put Simpson first. Was I the only first place vote? And then Mendoza second. I don't know. I should have if I did.
Hater of Indiana football, Joe Rexrode.
I mean, I think you
Big Ten hater.
Yeah.
Well, Big Ten kind of sucks. But I mean, you could plug in just about anybody. I feel like at Indiana, and Mendoza is really good. But like, I think it's Kurt Signetti is like, he's somehow is like, I don't know. He's like an AI quarterback coach or something.
He's
that
an
makes no
interesting cat.
sense. They just destroy everyone. You said that, oh, what a great story. They blow up Michigan State on the road. They're doing all this stuff. And then Indiana's like, how about 56-6? Get your ass out of our town. The greatest college football team in the land, Indiana Hoosiers.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. More to get to on the Vanderbilt front. Plus, another SEC coach that did seem to be too happy with Vanderbilt and College Game Day over the weekend. We'll get on to that. Robby and Rexrode 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Bruce Feldman from The Athletic will be with us here in just a few minutes at 8:30. Got a lot of things on the college football front to get into with him.
Personal text line, Kyle Tucker, a term I need to steal. Stat peepers. That's what he's calling you UT fans who stat peepers, who are, like,
pretty good.
Which is just like the texter who's been going back and forth with me, won't give me his name. I mean, maybe I'll just have to give your number out to the public, but just kidding. I won't do that. He comes back with 10th in the SEC in passing yards, two-turned. I mean, you're just a hater. You're just a hater. It's just dumb. Diego Pavia deserves to be where he is. And again, if you watch Vanderbilt play football, you know that Diego Pavia is not having many 300-yard passing games in that offense. But what he'll do is he might throw for 180 and be highly efficient and not turn it over. Last week, he got one tipped and picked, but usually takes care of the ball, and then he'll run for 70 and a touchdown or two, and they'll win. That's what it is. Like that, he is not playing an offense where you're going to regularly have huge passing numbers. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't know that by now, I can't really help you.
So, Joe, we mentioned at the end of last week, speaking of quarterbacks and Vanderbilt.
Oh, yes.
That Jared Curtis, local kid, high-level recruit, currently committed to Georgia to go play quarterback, was visiting Vanderbilt this past weekend, was there for College Game Day, and there is some hope, and I think maybe, Joe, even a little bit of belief from some associated with Vanderbilt football that they've got a legitimate shot maybe to flip him here and for him to commit to Vanderbilt and decommit from Georgia. Well, Jared Curtis was asked about, I guess the backstory to that also is Nate Bargatze brought up Jared Curtis like 3 times on the College Game Day broadcast. He was like, Jared Curtis, I'll buy you a house or whatever it is. Like, it's good stuff. So Kirby Smart was asked about that yesterday at his weekly press conference about Jared Curtis and the, I guess, blitz going on from Vanderbilt here to try to get him to decommit and go to Vandy. Here's what Kirby Smart had to say.
Kirby, off topic, the comedian Nate Bargatze was making his pitch on College Game Day to get a high-profile recruit to go to Vanderbilt. Does anything surprise you in recruiting, or is that a new one for you?
No, I mean, I don't get caught up in it much, Mark. I don't look at the stuff like that and just recruit the best job we can and sell what we have and talk to the kids and communicate with the kids that we talk to and trust them for what they tell us and not get into gimmicks and propaganda stuff.
No gimmicks, no propaganda.
Propaganda? My goodness. Nate Bargatze is he's a captain of misinformation out there. What? Good Lord.
That question, though? Come on.
The question to Kirby?
Yeah.
Why? That's my guy, Mark Weiser. I'm glad he asked the question. What's wrong with the question?
I don't. He's fishing there. He's looking for a little how about this? It felt a little college sportsy homework question.
Little butting up to the.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, I'm glad it came up so he could address it. We could all see what a freaking stuffed shirt he is. Lighten up, dude. A comedian had a little fun. A comedian had a little fun with the situation. Like, we don't get into the. Come on. I mean, would you freaking have a little bit of fun in your life, Kirby Smart? Good God.
You can't do it.
But I do. The one thing that he said there that is. All right. Can you play that again? I'm sorry. I want it.
Off topic, the comedian Nate Bargatze was making his pitch on College Game Day to get a high-profile recruit to go to Vanderbilt. Does anything surprise you in recruiting, or is that a new one for you?
No, I mean, I don't get caught up in it much, Mark. I don't look at the stuff like that and just recruit the best job we can and sell what we have and talk to the kids and communicate with the kids that we talk to and trust them for what they tell us and not get into gimmicks and propaganda stuff.
Trust them for what they tell us. That's the key phrase there. Trust them for what they tell us, because
no backstabbing.
Because all on everything that people are, especially on the Georgia side, that Curtis has assured the staff. Yeah, he's coming, man. Now, I see there's someone on Twitter, and I have no idea who this person. I've lost it, but this is a person who, like in the profile, suggests like is a significant giver to Vanderbilt.
Okay.
Who is expressing confidence that it's actually going their way. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I disagree. I think that I don't think the question like Kirby, like if it was like Kirby, these Vandy losers want to take this quarterback from you, what would you say? I mean, I just think you would just set him up to like talk about the goofiness of a comedian.
It was a little buddy.
All right. Yeah. All right.
But it's college
Does
sports.
anything
what
surprise you in recruiting anymore these days, Kirby? Isn't it just crazy?
To have the comedian on College Game Day, Kirby, and start talking about the recruit,
trying to steal your players.
But it is funny, right? Like, I mean, a comedian going on game day to do that is like if you weren't on the Georgia beat, like I know when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. I don't know. Well, that's fine. Rip Mark if you need to. I'd rather rip Kirby.
Well, if you vouch for Mark, that helps. That helps.
Yeah, Mark's he's not some big homer guy.
Yeah, okay, that helps.
Yeah.
I was just a little.
There are plenty on the Georgia beat.
Well, college.
Some who will go
general,
unnamed here today.
That can be an issue. Yes, but
yeah, believe me, there are some raging homers on that Georgia beat. Mark is not one of them. But anyway,
Coach.
Do you love me, Coach?
Oh man.
So yeah, this is if the trust what they tell us that little segment of there was Kirby like, boy, he better not be lying to me. That kid better not be lying to me.
Mike on the text line says, could you lighten up if you had to go through life with the name Kirby?
I mean, maybe not if I also wore a visor,
Yeah, the visor is quite something.
Yeah.
With the hair just kind of floating over the
flopping
top of it.
hair. Yeah. Kirby should, I mean, he's won some natties, doing pretty well in life. He's kind of winning in life. Yeah, he should chill out a little bit.
Made some Georgia fans mad. Kirby has tons of fun winning national championship games.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So, like, can we,
it's their livelihood, Joe.
Yeah.
We're talking about families here.
Well, he's families. Shout out to Brian Kelly.
Where's he going to end up?
You know what? I don't think he's going to end up anywhere.
He's just done?
And this is a good thing to ask Bruce.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so, man, because you're going to have to take a step back if you're him. You're in you're what? Well into your 60s, right? How old is Brian Kelly?
64.
You're going to have to take a step back. The whole point of this move was I'm finally going to win my national championship. Is he going to go somewhere where he can do that now? I mean,
I don't think so.
Maybe he's a coaching lifer and it's just like he just wants to, but I mean, he's miserable. He makes other people miserable. Count your money. He just went to Superior Grill yesterday and got the large queso.
He did.
Enjoy your life, man. Just like Kirby needs to a little bit more. Sorry, Georgia fans.
Bruce Feldman from The Athletic will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning, talking some college football. And to help us do that, we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Bruce Feldman to the program from The Athletic and from Fox. Bruce, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, guys. Good to be on with you.
Good to have you with us. Appreciate you taking time to do so. So, Bruce, after a season last year where no coach in the SEC got fired, there's coaches getting fired all over the place right now, Brian Kelly being the latest of them. So let's just start there. What did you make of LSU moving on from Brian Kelly? And what do you think the future kind of looks like for Brian Kelly at this point, going from Notre Dame to LSU and now being shown the door by the Tigers?
Yeah, I don't think it was a shock. Maybe it was a shock that it turned so fast at the end. But look, he'd been there this is year 4, and as everyone knows, the previous 3 coaches at LSU all had won national titles all within their first 4 years there, and he wasn't close. I mean, I'd always run Les Miles, Nick Saban, all won national titles. The best season he had there was finishing number 12, and they weren't even going to get close to number 12 this year. They had tripled their budget for NIL and their roster, and he talked about, hey, last year they're going to be receipts, and we'll see at the national title game. That didn't even come close to happen. And then to get embarrassed like they did by Texas A&M, I think a lot of people looked at it and saw, hey, there's a lot of arrogance. This guy doesn't fit here. The fit had been a thing that I think a lot of folks could identify right out of the gate. They just think that they never felt like, whether he was from the Deep South or not, he just, Nick Saban wasn't from Louisiana either, but he was real. And Brian Kelly never felt real. Now where he goes, I don't know what the next move is going to be. I'm curious to see how much they actually end up having to pay of the $54 million buyout, how much he gets. Remember, he's 64 years old. I don't know how marketable he's going to be for the next head coaching job. And I don't see him, like, if Ryan Silverfield leaves Memphis, I don't see Brian Kelly being the guy to go to Memphis or one of those. So maybe he goes to TV somewhere. Maybe he just goes away. I mean, he likes to golf. We know that because he played a ton of golf while he was the head coach at LSU. So maybe he just gets on a golf course a lot.
Yeah, my advice is head on back, order an obstacle roll, get back to that Boston accent, and I think that's the move for him. But some of these guys are coaching lifers, Bruce, so it'll be interesting. Of course, Bruce broke the news about the Kelly and the meetings with the firing of Joe Sloan and all the conversations with the assistant coaches and sort of this contentious ending to this thing, Bruce. But now LSU, I got to ask you, I think that Lane Kiffin, obviously is going to be pursued, and you've written about him, and with both of those jobs, both of them being LSU and Florida, I think LSU would be the move for him over Florida. What do you think about that? Do you look at those jobs roughly the same, or do you give LSU the edge?
I give LSU the edge, Joe, just in this regard. Before Brian Kelly, this was like everyone who goes there seems to win national titles. There's so much there's not the same competition for talent in the state of Louisiana, which is a great state for football. And so, in Florida, yeah, there's a lot to like there, but we've seen a lot of people struggle in that job now. After Urban, they've tried almost seemingly like everything, and it hasn't worked, whether it was Will Muschamp, who was the hot assistant, or guys who were proven, group of mid-major coaches. Dan Mullen had been, it didn't work. I'm not convinced Kiffin's definitely going to leave. The other thing that makes it tricky is he's got a team that's 7-1. The rest of the schedule is really soft. It's going to be hard to expect, even if they stumble, that they're still not going to make the playoffs. And all of a sudden the timing is extended and you got to wait. And look, maybe schools are like, hey, there's just not a lot of great candidates. We believe in a guy. We'll punt on this year's recruiting because we don't want to take somebody we're not sure of and stick them in there just because we're so stuck on timing. I think Kiffin has a playoff team. I think he probably also knows he probably doesn't have a team that can win the playoff. And to do that, he may need to leave Oxford. Last year they obviously spent a lot of money. It didn't work out for a variety of reasons. They kind of choked in the regular season and cost himself a playoff spot. I don't know if that makes him think, you know what, LSU has got to be the spot because that's the best chance I have to win a national title. But if you're LSU, you look around, there aren't that many candidates who you can say with much confidence, oh yeah, I think this is the guy who is going to resonate with players and boosters and everybody else who feels like they have the pedigree and the history to justify us, you know, rolling the dice and giving him this job. And Lane Kiffin's one of the few right now who I think at least as close as they're probably going to get to that.
So, Bruce, we're living in a world where Vanderbilt is a top 10 team with a college football playoff path right in front of them. What do you make of that matchup against Texas coming up this weekend and the path to the playoff for Vanderbilt, the job that Clark Lee has done?
It's an amazing job that he's done there. Like, through my 11-year-old son, I ended up watching the whole Netflix SEC documentary, and nobody came across better in that than Clark Lee and Vandy. And I got a huge Diego Pavia fan in the house now because of it, and wants to do hot yoga just because Diego Pavia does it. It was like, I think it's, you know, pretty awesome what has happened there. And I did a story a couple of days ago on Barton Simmons, who everybody there knows, a former Rivals and 247 recruiting expert, has been a really good fit working with his old buddy, and, you know, as the GM there at Vandy. And hearing him talk about Pavia the way he has, I say that all this, like, I would vote for him right now as a Heisman winner because I know that program was a 2-win team before he and, you know, Jerry Kill and Tim Beck got there and Eli Stowers, but Pavia is a transformational player just because of not just because of his attitude, but largely because of his attitude and the confidence he brings and instills in people and the playmaking ability he has. I wouldn't bet against him this week. Texas has sputtered all season. And I just think that the level that this team is playing, I don't, you know, whether Arch is able to play or not, because even the concussion protocol, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but I just really like what I've seen from Vandy. When they lost to Alabama, it didn't feel like that was, you know, like the game felt much closer than the final score was. When they beat LSU, when they beat, you know, it's like nothing felt like fluky with them. I think they're just a really good team led by a great quarterback.
Bruce, I'm going to send you all the nasty texts from Tennessee fans that are going to be coming in now that you said that Pavia should win the Heisman. For some reason, they are very down on that whole idea. I want to stick with Vandy, though, because and we'll combine that with the coaching cycle. I mean, look, I think if I'm LSU, I'm interested in Clark Lee. I think if I'm a lot of programs, I'm interested in Clark Lee. Also, I think it would be very difficult to get him out of here, but I'm not saying it's impossible. If jobs like that, if programs like that come after him full bore, what do you think happens?
I don't know. Can you say no to LSU if you're a Vandy? Can you say no, you know, if you're a Penn State? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with, you know, is Matt Rule going to win enough for his buddy to hire him at Penn State? I don't know, but like Clark Lee's a guy I feel like has earned that kind of talk. Now, I know Vandy people probably don't want it, and obviously he has deep ties there, and he's made them relevant again. You know, they were in the top 25, whatever it was, a dozen years ago, and Franklin was there, but they're beating good teams now too. That was one thing that wasn't going on, and they're in the top 10. There's a big difference between being in the top 10 and being in the top 25. You know, how much does Vandy, how capable are they to compete for him? Is going to be an interesting subplot to this, but also like Kiffin potentially, they could be in the playoff, and that could muck up the timing for some other schools. You know, I'm fascinated to see how this goes. You know, like, by the way, as for Tennessee fans, you know, got to get over it. I mean, this guy has earned everything, and to think, I get it, it's your in-state rival, and they probably look down at Vandy, but again, they were 2-10 before he showed up. They're a top 10 team now. That is, you know, that's one of the more amazing stories I've seen in the last decade of a transformation, especially his story itself, of where he came from. I'm just kind of in awe of it. And credit to Clark Lee to see, hey, these New Mexico State guys, I think I want to sign on for what they're doing and bring it on because it's worked. And I think they have a really good thing going there. And maybe Clark decides, you know what, I'm not going to mess with that because I see how it goes at some of these other programs where guys are doing really well. They jump into it, and maybe the alignment's not very good. Maybe maybe it's just not a great fit. I do think Clark Lee would fit at a bunch of other places, but you start getting into the alignment, the expectations, and then all of a sudden, if things don't go great early, Vandy was patient enough with him. I don't know how many other programs wouldn't be if it doesn't go as well as they're hoping it does early, because as we see with Penn State, certainly at LSU, the expectations are insanely high there.
Bruce, last thing for you here, kind of a big picture question as it relates to Clemson. I'm not saying that Dabo Swinney's in danger of losing his job or anything like that, but this was supposed to be a year where they were back in contention for a national title, and they're not going to be close to that, as we know. So where do you think things go from here with Clemson? Are they done being a true threat in the national landscape, all this? Can he rebound from this? How do you view Dabo Swinney and where things go with Clemson moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting deep dive for him at the end of the year. The offense has really been disappointing. The offensive line hasn't been good, in the micro pieces of it. In the macro part, we've seen Dabo's been really, hesitant to embrace the transfer portal. He's taken a few guys, like he's got a good defensive end that was at Purdue, but just not to the level everybody else is involved in it. And clearly he's stubborn. And look, he has a good reason to be stubborn. He's won 2 national titles, but he got further away from those titles this year. And this is a team, if you talk to NFL personnel people, has a bunch of NFL dudes on it. I don't know how he looks in the mirror and goes, all right, this is getting better. I got to make some hard changes. He doesn't want to do it. And I don't know what that means. I don't think he's in any danger of being being fired there because of his track record and what he did for the program. But I think if he wants it to get back to being a top 10 program, he's going to have to make a lot of hard moves that I don't think he's comfortable making. But as we see, Nick Saban did a lot of pivoting and adjusting and changing because he saw how the game was changing and he had to react to it. And Dabo has just not been, flexible enough to do that. And it's costing them. And until, it's not like they're in like the gauntlet of the SEC. We're seeing like a Virginia team that doesn't look that good. They're just experienced because they have a lot of, grad students on it. And, right now, Clemson's not at that level, which is crazy to say, given all the talent on that roster.
Well, Bruce, you're really kind with your time as always. We appreciate so much you taking time to be with us this morning, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, guys. My pleasure.
Yep, Bruce Feldman, our guest here on the program from The Athletic and from Fox as well, does an outstanding job covering college football. We'll react to what Bruce had to say, our final thoughts on the Titans, their trading of Roger McCreary coming up next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Appreciate Bruce Feldman for being with us in the last segment. Joe, it's going to be interesting to see who ends up taking that LSU job. Like the coaching carousel in general of like how things fall this year, going to be interesting. By the way, people aren't done getting fired yet either, so there's going to be more names to add to the list.
Yeah. I'm doing a matchmaking exercise of coaches with jobs. There's 8 Power 4 jobs open right now. I'm throwing 5 more in there that I'm expecting, including Florida State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, a couple others. So that's 13 Power, and there could be more. And again, then you could, like, Bruce just said, like, okay, so then what about Nebraska opening? Then if Matt Rule does get the Penn State job, et cetera, it's going to be crazy. LSU, I think Clark Lee is worth looking at. I think for any of these programs, I mean, they should be looking at Clark Lee. Absolutely. I think Lane Kiffin, people will say that's like the splash hires don't work, and he comes with guy wins.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a winning coach. And also, I do think, like, I know a lot of people make the Spurrier comparison, right? He does have that. He talks a lot of trash, but he has fun with it. It's like, like Kirby and his calories. You should be more like that, Kirby. You should have ripped Lane that week, but you missed your opportunity. Then like Calvin Shepard, John Summerall, Tulane. That guy is going to get hired by somebody. As LSU look at that kind of thing? I mean, there's a lot of other jobs, but the LSU job to me is the top one of all these. And like Bruce said, you should expect to win it when you go there.
Well, and he would be a fit there. I mean, I was telling somebody this the other day. It kind of feels like Lane Kiffin was born to be the Florida coach. Like, I don't know, like he just screams Florida coach.
Yeah,
he really does.
No, he is like
Florida man vibes.
He does. Like he very much screams Florida Gator head coach.
I mean, the visor and the trash talk. He doesn't quite have Spurrier's knack for like these perfect jokes, like whatever what the library burned. Library burned down at Auburn. All the coloring books were lost, et cetera, et cetera.
Pretty good.
But Lane's the closest thing, probably, right?
Yeah.
I still say go to LSU, Lane.
I would, if I were him, I would go to LSU before Florida. I'm just saying that
I agree.
He feels like a Florida head coach.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But maybe he stays at Ole Miss.
Maybe.
Yeah, he tweeted earlier today a picture with a home emoji.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
That just
with all his family, like on the field with
this.
just like a emoji with a house on it.
That just means now get up that money.
He's gonna
my pay, staff pay, and NIL pay. Otherwise, I keep tweeting welcome home mats.
He's got a lot of fun with this.
Yes, he will.
The Titans have traded Roger McCreary to the LA Rams. We were talking earlier, Joe, about just the repair job that is going to be necessary for this roster right now. And it just looking at it on paper, it feels like it's going to take forever. Like they've got a ton of cap space this summer that they're going to have to deal with. Boy, how depressing is it? Talking about draft picks and cap space on October the 28th for the Tennessee Titans, but that's where we're at right now. But you're talking about now, we would assume 3 cornerbacks you're going to have to find, because I doubt Snead's going to be here next year. So Brownlee started for you, he's gone. McCreary started for you, he's gone. I think they're probably going to move on from Snead. So you're revamping your cornerback room. We know they need receivers and edge rushers and running backs and tight ends potentially and all these other things. So a lot of jobs to be done for Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker, as we start turning our attention to the offseason and the head coach and all that stuff.
Yeah, we don't know on the McCreary side what he thought, what he wanted in terms of an extension. The combo of Brownlee and McCreary out for what they got back, I just don't like it. So you got a totally clean slate at another position group when you have a lot of other positions that need to be addressed. But it'll be an active offseason. And you're right there for the number 1 pick. Yay.
Oh, yeah. And Brownlee, maybe you may hit something earlier. Like, we need Brownlee to go to the Jets. And then he'll make some plays for him, and we'll get the number 1 pick.
Yeah, Gentry. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. You could be sad that Brownlee made the key play to win that game, but
chestnut checkers.
That's right. He's
playing the whole time.
He's actually helping you out. Hold on. A texter says that Kirby said he took Lane's hot yoga tickets after he beat him. Okay, if that's the case, I'll give Kirby a tip of the visor.
Apparently, Kirby and Lane Kiffin are really good friends.
Yeah.
A very unlikely friendship.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they worked together. They both had
They
to deal with Saban as their boss. So I'm sure they shared a lot of, tender moments dealing with that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he just crushing Venables, though. Just crushing Brent Venables. I don't know that that's as friendly.
That's a hot take.
Yeah.
He thinks that they're a better team than us.
He listed all the times his teams crushed Brent Venables. He had the final score ready, too. Good Lord.
It's a hot take.
That does it for us today on the program. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.